Dobro večer iz Sarajeva. Ja sam Ika Ferrer-Gotić. Ovo je vrijeme sjećanja, ali i vrijeme opomene. Nermin Divović imao je samo 7 godina kada je pogođen snajperskim hicem u glavu. Mališan je na mjestu ostao mrtav. To se dogodilo 18. novembra 1994. godine na pješačkom prijelazu između Zemaljskog muzeja i Filozofskog fakulteta u ratnom Sarajevu. Inače, fotografija ubijenog Nermina obišla je cijeli svijet, ali čini se da se u Bosni i Hercegovini često zaboravlja ova tragična priča. Kada je ovaj nevini dječak ubijen, ranjena je i njegova majka istim metkom kojim je Nermin ubijen. Tog kobnog dana Dženana, Nerminova majka, nije izgubila samo sina. Izgubila je i nerođeno dijete. Kobni metak stigao je iz pravca metalke, pogodio je njegovu majku Dženanu u stomak, prošao kroz nju i završio kod sljepočence malenog Nermina. Snajperska aleja je jedan od zloglasnih termina opsade Sarajeva od 1992. do 1995. godine. Epicentar te zone je u neposrednoj blizini Historijskog muzeja Bosne i Hercegovine. Trevor Gibson, UN-ov oficir koji je bio svjedok Nerminovog ubistva, upravo čovjek sa slike, će donirati Historijskom muzeju Bosne i Hercegovine uniformu koju je nosio tokom boravka u opkoljenom Sarajevu, ponovno uniformu sa slike. Pored toga, Trevor Gibson će organizirati aukciju memorabilije iz filma Scream for Me Sarajevo, koji govori o posjeti Brucea Dickinsona opkoljenom Sarajevu i kulturološkom otporu grada u vremenu destrukcije. Novac prikupljen aukcijom će biti doniran Historijskom muzeju Bosne i Hercegovine. Želim da se zahvalim fotografima Enrica Martina, Hervasio Sanchez i svakako snajper Aleji za fotografije koje smo podijelili s vama upravo večeras. Trevor Gibson večeras je i moj gost. Trevor, welcome to Sarajevo. Welcome to N1. Thank you so much for joining us. Such an honor to have you here.
Oh, thank you for having me.
It's been a while. It's been a while since all this have happened. And you do have a long history with Bosnia and Herzegovina. And being here again on this date, this particular date, must bring a lot of emotions to you. Can you tell us how does it feel to be in Sarajevo right here in November 18th?
You know, this time of year is always quite difficult for me, if I'm honest. This morning, particularly, I saw Dženana early this morning at 10 a.m. this morning, completely by surprise. I didn't expect to see her, and that was quite a shock to me. So yeah, so it's already feeling like an emotional day.
It's been a long time since you've seen her, right? It's been years.
No, I saw. I've been in touch with her for maybe 2 years now, and her young son, who's also called Nermin, and I talk quite regularly. So we're in regular touch, but I didn't expect to see her this morning. So it's been quite emotional already.
Quite emotional for you, and to go back to the time. Shall we go back to the time?
Sure.
Will you go back with me?
Of course.
Tonight. So Nermin was killed by a sniper shot at the aggressor position in a Metalka building when he was only 7 years old. So Dženana, she lost her unborn child, and you were the witness of Nermin's killing. And it happened on November 18th, 1994. You were there, and that picture that actually went through the entire world says a lot about that moment. But take us back to that moment, how it happened. Take us back to the moment before it happened and the moment that it happened. What went through your mind? What was going on?
So we had based an ambulance, a team of paramedics at the museum, so that they were well placed to go anywhere in the city that they were needed if there was a sniper incident. And I was visiting with them to make sure everything was okay and things were quiet. And I was standing 50 meters away, and in fact, Nermin came up to me and asked me for bonbons. And I said, name a bonbon.
Name a bonbon.
And he walked maybe 50 meters and the sniper took his shot. So I wanted to get a paramedic team to him as quickly as possible.
The horror on your face was so visible.
Yeah.
Were you aware of what just had happened at the moment? How did it play out for you?
Yeah, I mean, I was very aware. I was very. My role was to keep the paramedics alive, while they did the job. They were the ones doing the important job. My role was to keep them alive. So I was very focused on getting some armor between the boy and his mother, who were on the ground, and the paramedics, so that they could work. If there was any life left in him, they could try and save that. So my focus was entirely on, firstly, getting armor between the two, and secondly, on contacting the French counter sniper team and asking them to intervene to prevent any more issues at that spot.
And when was the moment you realized that this was a mother that lost her unborn child and a child right there? He was right there in front of you. When was that moment? How did you take up on that?
You know, this is going to sound pretty tough, but I think I went to 7 or 8 interventions that day. I'd literally just arrived from another intervention, and that happened, and we took him to the hospital. And on the way to the hospital, I had a radio call that there was another intervention I had to go to, and I think, honestly, it took me 20 years to process that. I really didn't process. I have no idea.
Have you processed it today? Can you say that you are in touch with what happened? Have you been able to process that, taking in consideration that a lot has happened in between?
I think until I came back to Sarajevo for the first time to start filming Scream for Me Sarajevo, I didn't want to process it. I had hidden it in a box in the back of my mind, and I didn't want to address it. And it was really only when I arrived back to Sarajevo for the first time in 15, 20 years that suddenly
struck you, it became a reality.
It became a reality, and hit me very hard at that point, actually.
We'll go back to that in a moment. So on December 14th, the same year, so when the Bosnian War was raging in full force, you did something quite unimaginable. And now we're going to the Scream for Me Sarajevo part. Bring in Bruce Dickinson, and besieged Sarajevo at that time was quite incredible, especially for the citizens of the city. How did it happen, and where did you get that idea to actually go for it?
So it's a little bit of a long story. I'll try.
I have time.
Okay, so so the fire department, all of the international staff in Sarajevo had radios, handheld radios, and most of the international staff, or all of the international staff, had a unique call sign, so that if they called and said it's Ica, everyone knew it was Ica. But the fire department had a team call sign, so we were called the Voodoo. Our radio call signs were Voodoo, so the chief was Voodoo 1, the deputy chief was Voodoo 2, I was Voodoo 3, and there were 12 Voodoo call signs. Now, every Monday night at the firehouse, I used to hold an event where I would invite anyone that I thought would be useful or important that we might need to be able to deliver on our job. So I used to invite the French who ran the gas station at PTT building. I used to invite the Norwegians who ran the airport, because if I needed to get someone out or someone in, I could speak to the Norwegians. I could ask them a favor. So I used to invite all of these people every Monday to the fire station. And as a result, the fire station came to be known as the Voodoo Lounge. Now in 1994, the Rolling Stones released an album, Voodoo Lounge. And if you open,
that's insane.
If you open the album cover, inside there's a picture of 12 skeletons playing cards and drinking beer. Now, every night after curfew, we would sit down, we would play cards, and we would have a beer. And I thought, this is us. It's 12 guys with no life playing cards and drinking beer. And I said, this is a sign. We need to ask the Rolling Stones to come to Sarajevo and play a gig. So I did. So I went to London to find the Rolling Stones, and I spoke to Richard Branson and asked him if the Rolling Stones would come and play a concert in Sarajevo.
In besieged Sarajevo during the war.
Yeah. And they told me no.
They told you no, quite honestly and straightforward.
Yeah, they said they were quite a lot more assertive than no.
You know, it's understandable in the 90s that somebody would do that. And then what happened then?
So then we thought, well, this is Martin Morris picked up the idea and said, this is too good an idea to let go. We need to put on a gig, any gig. We just need to get a band with a name to come to Sarajevo and put on a concert. So we started asking around, and we found out that General Michael Rose's bodyguard knew Lemmy from Motorhead. So we said, can you ask him? So he asked Lemmy from Motorhead, and Lemmy said, yeah, I'll do it. So we arranged a gig for Motorhead, not for Bruce Dickinson. And then 3 weeks before the concert, Motorhead pulled out. Oh, wow. Because there was a war on.
So they were just then aware of, oh, this is really bad.
Goodness knows. But they pulled out 3 weeks before the concert. So then, at that point, we were beginning to panic because we had everything set up and no band to play. No band. So someone said, why don't you call Kerrang magazine, the editor of Kerrang magazine? They have lots of bands, they have connections with lots of bands. So we actually sent a fax to the editor of Kerrang magazine, explained the story and that we wanted to bring a band to Sarajevo, and he called us. And said the only person crazy enough to do this concert is Bruce Dickinson.
Bruce Dickinson.
So he put us in touch with the management of Bruce Dickinson, and the rest's history.
And the rest is history. And one of the things that you brought with you today is something that's going to be auctioned. We would like to see that. Oh, sure. And it's a signed poster by Bruce Dickinson. While you do that, I would like to know you had that idea. You put that idea into action. How important did you think it was for the citizens of Sarajevo that were already the 4th year in under shelling, constant shelling, with no electricity, no water, and having to go through what they really gone? It's the longest siege in the modern history since the World War II of a city. What did you think that brought to the citizens? How did you feel when you saw that actually happening, when you saw the history happening?
At the time, we had no idea. Actually,
it took you again
how important it was to people. It was really only when we started making the movie and sitting listening to people saying it meant everything to them that it became quite emotional for us, because honestly we thought it was a good thing to do. It would lift people's spirits a little. But
it will bring attention to what was going on in Bosnia.
Yeah, we just had no idea how much it would.
That's incredible.
Is the truth.
Now you're getting the story, the full story behind. Can we see the poster,
sure,
please?
Yeah.
That would be really good.
It's big, so do you want to grab one?
Sure, I'll help you out.
So, yeah.
Got it.
So do we need to lift it up?
Sure. This way.
So yeah, so you can see it's a full-size movie poster, and Bruce.
Oh, that's his signature.
Bruce's signature is here. Yeah, and yeah, I think there are probably no others in the world right now.
No, definitely not. And this is going to be auctioned.
So I'm going to auction this and a number of other pieces of rock memorabilia tomorrow. So I have things from the Slovenian band Laibach, who've just released their new movie Sarajevo State of Time. So I have some items from them. I have items from Dubiosa Collective, have given me a signed T-shirt to auction. I have vinyl, limited edition vinyl from Diamond Head, who are a well-known English band, rock band. I have a number of the members of the cast of Sarajevo have donated items. In fact, I wore this throughout the movie, so if anyone would like to bid on it, I'll take bids on that. Really, I'm happy to sell literally my hat.
It all goes to the Historic Museum
and all of the money goes to the Historic Museum, exactly.
Historic Museum plays such a role in keeping the facts and the truth alive, and great job. Thank you for that. Thank you for doing that. Do you mind if I go back to Nermin? I know it's a hard topic. We have to talk about this, and this is purely because the Balkans, especially Bosnia and Herzegovina, is going through so much, let's say, trouble when it comes to glorification of convicted war criminals. I'm sure you're aware of that, what has been going on. What do you think of those who glorify war criminals that have done what they did, not just in Sarajevo, but other places in Bosnia? When you see them glorify those people and the rhetoric that brought to death of so many, and that killed 1,601 child in Sarajevo, over 8,000 men and boys in Srebrenica, and the list goes on and on. What do you think about those people that glorify people like that? I don't know if I can call them people.
You know, for me, the big issue here is politicians who peddle and use hate, language of hate for their own selfish ends. I don't know if you have a saying here, but for me it's like they climb on the back of a dragon, and where the dragon takes them, they really have no control then. And I think the story of Nermina Divovića points very squarely to where that can take, the dragon can take you. So I think the politicians who are still using hate as their rhetoric should take a very long, hard look at themselves and ask themselves how they would feel if it was their grandchild who ended up in the same place.
And the thing is that that works. The rhetoric that they're using, it actually works for, you know, like having them stay in power as long as they can. But what about the people? How come they accept rhetoric like that? Where is the education? Where is the empathy towards the other? What happened to, doesn't matter what your name is, what your color of your skin is, or what your ethnicity is, what happened to that? And just taking in consideration that Bosnia and Herzegovina has adopted the new law that prohibits genocide denial, for example, and there's so much opposition towards that. How is that seen from the outside? We know what we're going through here, but how is it seen from the outside, and especially for someone who has such long history with Bosnia and Herzegovina? Does it make you sad to see this happening?
Actually, I'm
angry.
I'm probably beyond sad. Yeah. I'm pretty angry about it, and I'm sad to see it's appears to be going in the same direction again at the moment. But I'm angry at the people who use hate and fear, foment fear by using hate, literally for their own selfish ends. And
that people cannot see through that.
Yeah.
That's very. What would you tell them? Are you familiar with the graffitis to Ratko Mladić, the convicted war criminal that are going on in Serbia and also in places.
No, I haven't seen.
Well, there is a mural dedicated to Ratko Mladić, and it's been going on for some time now, over a week. And you know, the good thing is that you have the activists that will oppose rhetoric like that, that would want a free Serbia, right? But then you have the politicians that are not really doing anything to stop the hate speech, the fascism that comes out of the city. And it just, the tensions from there, you can feel them here. And you know, people talk a lot about a possible war again in this country. I mean, you are a witness of something that should never happen again. And what would you tell to those people? What would your message be to them? Because obviously either they don't know what happened, or they haven't educated themselves of what happened, or they didn't get the education on history, or they're just ignorant.
I guess I'd say, as I said a moment ago, really, how would you feel if it was your child or your grandchild or your mother or your sister or daughter? And really, I think the only thing you can do is to try and bring, if they have no empathy in their body, all you can do is drag to their attention that it could be their, you know, someone dear to them who ends up in that place.
I have recently had a really wonderful experience in Scotland, in your country, and I was amazed of how many Scots they are that have their own Bosnian story. It's just amazing. I met with David Hamilton, the chief of Scottish Police Federation, and I was amazed of the Bosnian album, I call it Bosnia album 94-95, that he had as well. And when you see the involvement of your fellow citizens, fellow Scots in Bosnia, it stretches so far. And you're one of them. And I mean, we've known each other for quite some time, you and I, Trevor. But when I saw the picture, the very picture that went through the world, and when you said it's been such a long time since I revisited this moment and I realized it was you, that was a revelation for me. And but you could have, you know, this is maybe a philosophical question, but you could have left it all, you could have gone through that, left it all, and continue your life. But somehow you keep coming back. It keeps being important to you. The truth keeps being important to you. And telling the truth, and by telling the truth, you do a lot of education, it keeps being important to you. Why does it keep being important to you? I mean, you could have just left and said, you know, I think I've had my fair share of war in Bosnia, but you are really, I mean, you're stuck with us now. You're stuck with us. And how come you didn't just turn around and say that this was my fair share?
You know, when you spend the kind of experiences I spent in Bosnia, I think a little piece of your heart is taken from you. So one, I need to come back and visit the little piece of my heart that I leave here every time I go, and yeah, it's a very special place to me. It's a place that I'll continue coming to for the rest of my life, I guess.
And you are welcome here. This is your second home. So we are having the auction that you are doing, and Chris Dale is here.
Chris Dale's here too. Yeah.
We had a conversation with Chris Dale before, and he's been doing these auctions for quite some time now, and donating to charities and donating. You're on board too, and you know, you have these two amazing men that do such great things in Bosnia, and like I said, not just keeping the truth alive, but actually really doing something consistently that important to keeping that truth alive. So what are we expecting from everything that we are going to see in the next couple of days? And I want to talk about the uniform a little bit that we see here in front of us as well. This is what you are donating as well to the museum. Yes,
so I'm donating the uniform, and obviously opening the new exhibition tomorrow from Paul Lowe, which I got a sneak peek of today, and it looks fantastic. So well worth a visit. I'm doing the charity auction, and Chris and I have another couple of projects related to Bosnia up our sleeves, which perhaps I can tell you a little snippet about.
Yeah, I would love to hear about that.
So firstly, we are planning another auction of some more items that Bruce has given us, but this time the items are much more significant than a poster, and I don't want. Maybe
no. We are keeping it secret for now.
Okay.
Is it, or can you tell me?
I think I'll keep the item secret, but I can tell you it's a big one, and we're hoping it will raise a considerable amount of money for some Bosnian charities that are dear to us.
Where is this action going to take place?
Ultimately, because of the
COVID.
The size of the issue. I think we decided we were planning to auction it here, but we thought actually this could earn so much money in an international auction for good causes here in Bosnia that we've decided that they should be auctioned internationally. So it will be a much bigger event.
It will be a much bigger event. Looking forward to that.
And then secondly, we're doing a new project with some of the cast of Scream from Sarajevo, actually. And that is my son actually recently, for a school project, sent questionnaires, psychology questionnaires, to all of the cast of Scream from Sarajevo, and he used all of the lines from their responses to write a song. And that song will be recorded by Alex Elena and Chris and I, and the surprise part is we plan to record a substantial part of it in Sarajevo. A number of the cast will sing lines in the song, almost like a Live Aid kind of a version. And we are going to auction the opportunity for people to be part of the music video and take part in that song. So there'll be at least a couple of people will get the opportunity to be a part of the new project.
And some really great men involved in this project. And you're doing it all for Bosnia. Again, it's all for Bosnia.
Absolutely.
Can we talk about the uniform a little bit? I'm very interested in, so you're donating this, and when you were packing to come to Bosnia, you sent me a couple of pictures saying, I can't believe it, what I found. And you know, these things that, you know, just sitting there, and it's quite heavy, to be honest. And can we talk about that? Why you decided that this uniform, very uniform from the picture that we've seen, is going to be donated?
So I knew that I had the jumper, the pullover, and I'd offered previously. I'd spoken to Elma at the museum and offered to bring it, and of course COVID happened, so I wasn't able to bring it. But when I went looking for it this week, I was surprised to find that I have the entire uniform. So I called Elma and said, look, I've found everything. Do you want it? And she said, sure, of course I want it. So I brought it all with me. I want to thank
Elma too. She let us borrow the uniform from the museum for us to see. You know, when we got it today, I sat next to it and I thought, thought, my God, this is a piece of history right here next to me. And from that very picture that got me into what I do today. You wore it on that picture. You said you met late Nermin's mother this morning. It was very emotional. You stay in touch all the time. And will you ever be able to perceive her pain and what she's been through? And she'll always be part of your life.
Yeah, I can't even imagine the pain that she goes through. The pain of losing a young child like that is simply unimaginable to me. And yeah, she and I think, have a bond that will probably last forever at this point.
See how some people come to your way and you never know what they're going to mean. Dženana is actually here to see you. We brought her here. She's here to see you. And I know you guys met already this morning, but I just wanted to see you two in the same place. Dobro večer. Dobro večer.
Dobro večer.
Dobro večer. Ovo je, kao što sam rekla, Dženana Sokolović, majka stradalog Nermina Divovića, koji je imao samo 7 godina kada je pogođen snajperskim hicem. Gospođo Dženana, hvala vam zaista što ste večeras ovdje s nama. I really just wanted to see you guys together. Željela sam da vas vidim na istom mjestu. To bi bila velika želja. Gospođo Dženana, ne mogu ni zamisliti kako je vama na svakog 18. novembra.
Znam ja kako je.
Kako vam je? Kako ste? Kako?
Teško. Teško, Boga mi sina, ali šta ću? Šta da radim? Eto još to dvojicu imam, šta da radim?
Vi ste taj dan, niste samo izgubili Nermina, vi ste taj dan izgubili i svoje nerođeno dijete. Da li je u redu da nam kažete taj moment kako je za vas izgledao? Evo, imali smo priliku da i s Trevorom razgovaramo o tome kako je taj moment izgledao iz njegovog ugla. Čega se sjećate? Što vam je najgore bilo? Na koji način ste taj dan preživjeli?
Lutko, primjer je bilo. Ja sam bila kod sve krve. Čovjek mi je bio na terenu, na treskavici. I hajde, rekao, u školu se išlo po podrumima. U nas u Bistriku gore. I baš okupala i nja na večer 7 godina napunio. Rekao, hajde neka ga dole snanu s onima, pa ćemo, rekao, sutra ako Bog da polako. I hajde, sve u redu bilo. Obukla ja djecu, krenula i ponijela torbu drva da naložim, da skuham, da se jede. I hajde, sve je fino bilo dole do muzeja. Na jedan put zapuca se, vidim ono raja leže tamo vamo i mala je u tome pretečala. A ja sam s njime ostala, on je meni čuvao, kako se me nosila u torbu, on je meni čuvao za jaknu. I metak je prošao meni kroz rame i njemu direktno ovdje i gore na glavu. Ja to nisam vidjela. I onda u proporciji, Bog im dao zdravlje, mislim, ja ne mogu sad reći sine, ovako, onako na njih, a svašta kad ljudi su mi pomogli. Priđoše, ja vidim u jednom trenu mali leži, ali opet mi ono prošlo kroz glavu, vas da mu je otac govorio, onaj Nermine, on išao imala 2 zeca, pa on travio, ne bravo, na garadića. Kad se pucala, ja sam u onome, znaš, strahu, to.
Misli se da je legao, jel da?
I meni su gore imao na 2 kamena. Evo onda krvarila, dođe hitna, kome je stavio, kako je stavio, mislim ja sam.
A još niste znali da je...
Nisam. I hajde, ja sam u bolnici gore bila, mala bila sa mnom, Dženita. I hajde, komšinica je to čula i došla pomalo. Da sam ja ranjena, da je mali poginuo, sve ona je to znala. I odvela je malu. A mala je plakala, onaj, kraj mene, kraj kreveća i viće, umreće mi mama. To na 8 godina, on 7. Punije dan jedan. I oni kad su nju odveli, šta su, znači ja sam iskrvarila mnogo. Tek se ujutro probudila, onaj, apersana, oni tu perem i to u krevetu gledam. Vidim raja, ono sve, znaš, ono, između sebe, šuš, muš, televizija, neko ima, neko nema, pa gleda.
A još niste znali da ste
Ne.
izgubili se?
Ja sam tek doznala kad mi je muž streskavice, kad su ga povukli, streskavice, i kad sam izišla kući, da je mali poginuo. Jer on kad je došao, on je došao negdje u 12 po ponoći. Pustili su ga gore u bolnicu. I on meni kaže, malo ranjen u ruku, je toga kao i tu kod tebe, a međutim mali mrtvačnice. I haj svaki dan, ja jedan dan je uvičem, rekao ja hoću da se potpiše da idem kući. Pa Džana ne krvarim, idem kući. I doktor molio me stvarno, kaže Dženana, nemojte još pričke su vam rane. Ja sam se potpisala, izišla kući. Ja kući vidim, znaš, ja narod me gleda, u kuću unišla.
A niko ništa ne govori u tom momentu?
Niko ništa. Jedna komšinica, ona je dodušena, nema djece, a fina ženica. Mislim, pazila sam se s njome. Pa sve ona mene utjehu, znaš, da ja nikako ne mogu da skopčam. Ja vičem, rekao, vala, sutra ćemo otići da vidim dijete. Kaj paša, hoću. A će nazad ona. Hoćemo, kaj otićemo. I hajde. I ja u kući sjedi, ženo, sjedi. Nema ga, sjedi, nema ga. Kada je toga ide blatnjao, sav naš, ko često ovoga ti paša bio. Ma išao kaj ovom jednom jaranu, kaj je onaj.
I niko još ništa ne govori?
Niko meni ništa ne govori. Međutim, komšinica je došla i ona je stisla hrabrost da mi rekne. On nije mogo da mi rekne, on je to sve krivo od mene. A ni mala zna, ni ona ne zna da je mali mrtav. I hađe. I pijemo mi ovako kapu. Kao na meni Dženana da ti kažem nešto. Kaj ti znaš da ja nema kaj djeci. Sa meni kroz glavu, kako nema, znaš, Kaže, tebe Nermin poginuo. Žena, onda sam se ja nesvijestila, došli štapa doktore, injekcije, prebile mi one rane. Sve krva mi je bila tu, ti dana, dok ja nisam mogla ustajati nikako. Krvarila. Ma joj, tuga i žalost. Tuga i žalost. Boga.
Teško je bilo što na ovo reći, zaista. Vidjeli smo se mi i ranije, prije nego tek pandemija je počela nekako kad smo se vidjeli Dženana. Ali evo prvi put mi pričate ovu priču. Želim da vam se zahvalim što svaki put smognete hrabrost.
Vjeriš da sam 3 tablete popila za vrijeme kad sam pošla. 3 tablete. Ali šta ću? Šta da radim? Evo, ovaj čovjek, Bog mu zdravlje dao i njemu i njegovi. Allah mu dao šta god poželio. On jedini što me pomogne, pošalje. Preko ovog malog on se dopisuje ko kad ja ne znam jezike sine. I on to na telefon snima, piše.
Dženana, kad vidite, a to sam pitala i Trevora, kad vidite sve što se dešava sada u javnosti s ovim ratno-huškačkim politikama i ovo nešto, da kažemo, zveckanje, oružjem, šta vi mislite o tome? Kako vi na to gledate? Vi ste majka koja je izgubila 2 djece.
Vjerujem da me stradijete. Ja ne mogu da spavam.
Jel mislite da je, na koji način prenijeti poruku da su ovo rezultati i posljedice onih 90-ih, da se takav scenario nikad više ne ponovi? Kako vi doživljavate? Izgubili ste dijete i onda morate sjediti tu i slušate sve ovo što se dešava i vidjeti svu tu mržnju koja se sručila posebno na porodice žrtava rata. Kako vi gledate? Kako smognete snage da preživite taj dan?
A šta ću si? Šta da radim? Šta? Nikome. Evo ja kažem, ona lijepi Bajrami, lijepi Ramazani. Ma nikad niko ne pokuca na vrata da pita je Dženana kako se, to ne moram donijeti ništa. Ko što vidim, porodicama se dolazi. Mene znači nikad, evo koliko ima da je moj Nermin poginuo. I ja ranjena, a nikad niko.
27 godina, tačno. Nerminu bi danas bilo 34 godine.
Ja. Pa godinu dana razlije, 11 mjeseci između njega i sestre.
Kako je sestra
u
tom momentu, kažete, primila tu vijest? Rekla se da je ni ona nije tad znala. Kako je ona to sve?
Šok je preživila.
To je dijete ipak.
Preživila je ona veliki šok. Boga. I sad mi ona se nije dobra sa živcima. To ima ona kćerku, veliku sina ima. Bila mi je nedavno.
Ona ne živi u Tuzli živi. Evo, imali ste priliku i ovog jutra vidjeti Trevora tu, biti zajedno.
Ovo je čovjek kako treba. Bog mu zdravlje.
I just want to bring you up to speed. We're just talking about the day of the November 18th, 1994, from her perspective. And to be honest with you, this is the first time I'm hearing these details. We've seen each other before, we talked about it before, but I never really knew these details, that it took so much time for her to get the information that she lost a child, that Nermin was killed. And Dženana, tu ste, to vidjeli ste se, bili ste tu zajedno. Koliko vam je važno da održite ovo prijateljstvo i ovu priču, ovo sjećanje na vašeg sina?
Što sam se s vama skupila da vas vidim svi u sine. Svi. Ja tebe volim koji svoje dijete. Prvi dan kad sam te upoznala, ti si mi na srce lagla. Prvi dan, kad si došla sa Idom. A gdje ja idem?
Doći će, Ida. Doći će malo kasnije. Doći će. I vi ste voljeni. Nadam se da to znate. Da ste voljeni.
A kad sam ti glas čula?
Vjerujte, nije lako. Prije svega razumjeti, i ja sam majka, nije lako razumjeti monstruoznost svega što se izdešavalo. I znam stvarno da vam je teško. Mnogo govorimo o tome i govorili smo u zadnje vrijeme da je teško i živjeti u Bosni i Hercegovini, posebno sada. Posebno neko ko je, posebno porodice žrtava, majke, roditelji, majke, očevi, odnosno roditelji, braća, sestre. Vrlo teško žive u Bosni i Hercegovini danas. Vrlo malo. Na koji način? Kako to da nemate osnovnu pomoć, barem zbog onoga što ste prošli?
Nikako. Eto, dobijem na malog, plati režije i haj opet na ulicu. Šta ću ja od tog sina? Šta da radim? Ja ako ne iziđem, šta ću jesti? Znači, padalo, puhalo, ja moram. Eno, na mali Raducka pomala, ali dijete mlade, hoće sam nešto kupiti, daj i u kuću. Ne mogu mu kožu saskinuti sine. Jedan radi, jedan ne radi na brogu.
Trevor, what do you think, especially hearing this story, this particular story, what do you think, why is there a lack of empathy when it comes to the families of the victims of the war in Bosnia? Where is the empathy? Where do we begin being humans again? And I see this is it's a difficult time to sit together and to talk about this. And I know you've been through this your entire day, talking to the media and coming here and doing the auction and being here and telling the truth and all over again. And I know you're tired. I know it's the end of the day. But if you can just find strength to tell me, what do you think, where the humanity left?
You know, I think that's a really difficult question. I've been frankly despairing about the lack of humanity around the world at the moment. It seems to be, to me, Bosnia feels it particularly acutely, but it seems to be something around the world at the moment. We saw from the whole Donald Trump nonsense in America. I mean,
the momentum is real.
Exactly. People are moving, it seems to me, around the world. People are moving further apart. The right wing and the left wing are moving ever further apart. The centre's disappearing. And with that, there's this idea that the other somehow don't deserve empathy, don't deserve care, don't deserve to be treated as humans. And each side looks suspiciously at the other side and seems to say and think the same. And frankly, I despair. I despair around the world. I see it particularly acutely when I come to Bosnia, but you're not alone. I think the world is going
That's why
mad.
it's good to have friends. Good to have friends like you, like so many people that, like I said, they have the Bosnian story, have the experience here, and I can really see the impact of the 90s on their very lives. I would like to thank you both really for being here. Dženana, hvala vam stvarno. Hvala vam što ste došli tu. Hoćete li biti dobro? Hoćete li biti dobro?
Hoću.
Budite mi dobro, molim vas. Uvijek ćemo biti tu za vas.
Kako je malo?
Dobro.
Ja te nisam mogla poznati.
Promijenila sam se.
Neka se.
Malo sam se promijenila. Hvala, Dženana, što ste bili tu s nama. Mi se viđamo ovih dana svakako i tu smo za vas. Trevor, thank you so much for making the trip, being here and doing everything that you do, all this that you do for especially for Bosnia and keeping the truth alive. Right now, Bosnia really needs friends in international waters as well. So thank you. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Dakle, ovo je vrijeme sjećanja, ali i vrijeme opomene da se nikada ne zaborave strašni zločini koji su Vojske Republike Srpske, paravojne formacije Srbije, retorike političara iz regiona tih 90-ih počinile na ovim prostorima. Počinile protiv građana Bosne i Hercegovine. Morali osuđenim ratnim zločincima, veličanje ideologija koji su oduzele život i ovom dječaku Nerminu Divoviću, ratne retorike političara, kao što sam rekla, priča o vraćanju scenarija iz 90-ih. Zašto? Zar nije historija bila upravo ta lekcija? Oduzeti životi još nisu ni otplakani. Učite i opominjite. Ja sam Ika Ferrer-Gotić. Hvala za pažnju. Thank you.